This is Pat McDonald, your host for Banter and Beans, where we're asking the question, what's brewing in Montpelier? And joining me in studio is Julia Wilk, who is owner of Wheelhorse Web. Julia, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Move quickly here. It's nice to meet you. And could you explain to our audience who you are and about Wheelhorse? I love the name, Wheelhorse Web.
Thank you. I'm Julia from Wheelhorse Web. We do WordPress maintenance mostly. We also build websites and support small businesses with their digital marketing.
Nice. And what did you say initially? Print?
No print.
No print.
Just websites.
Oh, just
and
websites.
Digital marketing, social media, SEO, that kind of stuff.
Okay. So digital marketing, you help people market their goods and stuff. And
sure, online.
That's
great. With a real focus on tech support for WordPress and site maintenance and building new websites.
Oh my, how exciting. Yeah. I know Zippo.
It's all good.
I think at my age, I'm very excited that I even have a website. That's good.
Yeah.
So I bet it's a talent that's in demand because people really need help with their websites.
Sure. Yeah, I find it to be pretty in demand. There, of course, are other people providing that service, but there's always building a relationship, finding someone you like working with.
That's right. And you're here right in Montpelier. Yes. Where are your offices?
So I've moved around a little bit recently, but I've been in central Vermont for 10 years. Right now I'm in Barrie, but that is very recent. I was in an office on Court Street in Montpelier until
are you
about
planning
2 weeks
to
ago.
return at some point in time, or?
We'll see. I do a lot of business in Montpelier. I have a lot of clients here, but I think I'm going to be in Barrie at my home office in Barrie for the foreseeable future. Hopefully, not moving again. Honestly.
Yeah. Did you move because of the flood?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I'm sorry for that.
That's all good.
So many people have had to pick it up and.
Yeah. Well, I was living in Plainfield. And I had a home office because most of what I do is remote, or then I visit clients on site, or go out to networking events and things like that. And then the building I was living in was washed away. I was in the Heartbreak Hotel, so it was overnight. Oh, wow. Everything was kind of gone. And then I've been in temporary housing in Montpelier. I had my office space in Montpelier, which was such a lovely thing to have for stability purposes.
Right.
But then I bought a house in Barrie, and I'm just finally settling in
Good for
and
you.
feeling like that part of the recovery is.
I'm actually surprised you found a house. Because that's the big talk in Montpelier anyway, is the lack of housing.
Mm-hmm. So renting is also pretty challenging. So I was really lucky to know somebody who does property management and was able to get me into a temporary month-to-month spot while I was looking. But it was a challenge, the whole thing.
So where did you learn how to do websites and how to do marketing? And have you had a professional training on that?
I've done a lot of different training, but mostly on my own through
JT?
different online things.
Yeah.
I had some programming background. My parents were both programmers at different points.
That cool?
So when I was a teen, I definitely had a lot of support in learning a lot about computers. That's and great. Did a lot of programming courses, not specific to WordPress. Honestly, that it's a kind of a different skill set, but it's just the ability to learn technical things was a big benefit. So I, just taught myself pretty much when I first started my business and built it up from there.
Oh, that's great. Good for you. I'm very impressed. I as I said, I'm thrilled that I even have a website and that I can use a computer because we didn't have those in my day. I even had a standard typewriter, if that dates me. But
a little bit. It's
a
little bit.
But I know people, a website can make or break you.
Yeah.
And whenever any guests come on the show, I look to see what their website is, and I get a lot of questions and information. I'm looking at the website, and you really have to be good at that because it can go badly quickly, I think. if it's not a website that you can easily transfer through and find information.
Yeah, it's really a great sales tool and just a way to build trust with people. And I think for us, a lot of our clients too, we have a lot of folks that have business critical websites, like it's an e-commerce site, or they have registration, or they run events online, things like that. It's extra important to have, maintenance team on your side.
So when a new client comes to you, do you sit and talk to them about what they envision a website would look like? I mean, how do you get the essence of the person and the products?
Sure, yeah. Well, there's a discovery process I go through. It kind of depends on where people are coming from. One thing that's a little bit different than some other people in my field maybe is that we do take on maintenance clients that are sites built by other people. We don't require people to rebuild the whole site when they come and do maintenance with us, and we'll host them. But I mean, I just did this today, actually. So I have my sort of checklist of things I look for, because sometimes the site is super outdated and there's a little bit of work we have to do to bring it up to speed, to have it be easy to maintain and work well. So
I bet.
Yeah.
And I presume you're trying to reflect the owner and the products and reflect them in the best light.
Yeah, and when we build new sites, we work with a team actually, because we have graphic design and we have copywriting and photography. So kind of have my people that I love to work with, and then we have a process we follow where we do intake form, and we kind of ask a lot of questions about what their goals are and what their backstory is, and what they like all the visioning. What do you envision for this site?
Are these your employees, or do you contract out with these folks?
Not for the that kind of stuff. That's a partnership with professionals that have different specialties, because like I'm not a graphic designer. I wouldn't want to manage a graphic designer. Carol and Matt that I work with has been a graphic designer for many years. I won't talk about how many, but I do have two people that work remotely at my company, and especially in the flood, it was amazing to have a small team, because oh my God.
And if they were able to work remotely, you're good.
Right. The fact that it was like Sarah, who's my kind of right hand, she really took over for a little while, and because she just knows how we run, and it was amazing. It would have been really hard without that, I think.
Well, it sounds like you're sort of back where you were and moving along, and
I'm getting there.
Yeah. It just was especially in Barrie, the mud that got in Barrie. You must have missed that, which at least in Montpelier was. No, I shouldn't say that. It was just as devastating because of the water. But the cleanup, the mud was ridiculous in Barrie. I don't know how that all happened ecologically, that Barrie got mud and Montpelier got water.
Yeah, I don't know. I have kind of joked a few times that, like, at least I didn't have to clean up my
Exactly. I helped somebody do that at their house in Barrie, and after about an hour I said, I'm too old for this. It's like lifting cement. It was ridiculous.
It's hard. I did help with some cleanup the previous year, and it's a lot.
Did you lose a lot of your equipment in the flood, or you were able to save it all?
A lot of my stuff is online. I had to replace all my, most of my personal possessions, aside from my car and a few items. But I have my computer with me, so that was really helpful. But also most of it's in the cloud, so really.
Talk to me a little bit about the marketing aspect of. I'm always very impressed with people, and never quite understand that. I don't have that thought about where is the best place to market. How do you market to a specific area? How do you sell that product, and to who's the client? How do you know all that?
It really depends. I think if people are looking for a marketing strategy, which is great to have like a document or a vision for how you're going to proceed with what particular types of marketing you're going to do, that's again something I would collaborate with somebody else on, because that's a whole specialty in itself.
I would think.
But we do a lot of implementation, because a lot of parts of that are technical. Like somebody who's really good at messaging and branding and the vision of like how to leverage all these different platforms. That's a kind of a different skill than getting into the nitty gritty of like setting up a Google Ads campaign or putting tags on your website to track things and then use that data. I mean, there's a lot of different skill sets within marketing. So we've mostly gotten that through experience. And for a lot of people, we can give really good recommendations for marketing because we've just worked with so many businesses and seen things that work and seen things that don't work.
I love the branding
yeah.
when you mentioned branding, because I've been in some nonprofits on the board, and they go through this branding exercise. That is not so easy,
Yeah,
but it's so
hard.
important.
Yeah, it is.
To
It really
get it
sets the
right.
tone for
Yeah.
even just your operations sometimes,
Right.
you know?
So you said you're not the only one that provides this service, but what makes you unique here in this area that people would be drawn to use your services?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think, again, like I mentioned, sometimes it's just the relationship. Like, do we get along? Do we see eye to eye? Like, you know, do you like the way that I work? And also, we often take over websites, whereas some other
Right.
providers would prefer you to kind of redesign so that they have built the site from the ground up and they
Right.
know exactly what it does. But I really enjoy the tech support aspect of it. I'm not a designer developer. I work with someone else for design, and you know, we collaborate. So I don't have that same desire to be in the design part in the same way that some people do. Some people who design websites, they're really good at design, and that's their joy. And then they do the maintenance as kind of an afterthought. But the maintenance is kind of the more interesting part for me.
So I know this is going to let
Yeah.
you know how much I don't know. When you take over somebody's web, is it easy for you to get in, and once you become an administrator or whatever, to really sort through it and understand how it's built? How's that for a question?
Yeah. So this is partly why sometimes
Yeah.
people don't want. There's a little bit of a reverse engineering,
Yeah.
like investigative
But you can do that
kind of.
once you're in.
Once
the
you're in
web.
there, you can. But
Right.
sometimes it's not super. I mean, there's also budget concerns. So we don't want to spend hours and hours just trying to figure out what this one piece of code was for. Sometimes it's
I
like,
see.
does the site work without the code? Let's test. No, it
Right.
doesn't work. So we got to figure out how to replace that. But
Huh.
yeah, it's kind of fascinating to I get to see how all different kinds of other developers
Yeah.
thought to set things up, and I
Interesting.
have my opinions about what's best. I get to.
That's great.
But yeah, it's
So
cool.
you work mostly with smaller companies or small individuals. Ever helped candidates for an office?
That's a good question. I've talked to a few. I don't think that I have had any really as
Because
clients.
that's an open market when it comes time to run.
Sure.
I had run for the House and had a wonderful woman that I worked with. I don't even remember. Somebody said, "Oh, you should check with so and so, word of mouth."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people that specialize in
Yeah,
doing that
right.
specifically, and that could be a cool
Because
niche.
that's all
but-
marketing and putting your
Yeah.
best foot forward and
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely.
So, interesting. Oh, my goodness. So you don't have any problem finding people to help you. One of the discussions we've been having with the businesses is finding people to work for them. But this is
I know
such a
that's been-
unique, people
yeah.
are really, young people especially, are really interested in this field, are they not?
Well,
Used to be, anyway.
I mean, I would say I do have trouble sometimes. I mean, when the flood happened, I was still kind of in a transitional turnover moment with my team. Somebody was leaving, somebody was coming on, but that's kind of stabilized. So now
Good.
I'm feeling, we're in a good place now. But over the years, I've had a lot of people come and go, and getting the right skill set.
I bet.
People have to be able to be self-motivated and work from, because it's not an office where you sit there for 8 hours. So I have a lot of the same problems as other businesses, but I do have a bigger pool which is a blessing and a curse, because how do you narrow down like the whole world?
Well, that's good.
to the
That's
right
a good problem to
candidate?
have,
Yeah,
though, if I
well,
might. Because a lot of people, I remember my husband and I were camping in the summers, and one year, which was right before COVID, we noticed the restaurants were closing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yeah.
and that's right before us when it all started. That all of a sudden there wasn't the workforce anymore. And I'm like, what the
Yeah.
heck? So we moved back. We came back home, and same problem here.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I thought it was just Maine's problem, but it's not. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know where these people are, but there's some great
Yeah.
opportunities in this area. Central Vermont's a good place to work, I think.
Sure.
Don't you think it's got some dynamics to it?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really. I've never been a business owner, and I haven't looked for a job in Central Vermont in a long time.
wow.
So I can't. I don't have direct experience. But yeah, I mean, of course, if anyone listening is
Yep. Yeah, talk
interested
right in that camera over
in
there
doing
and-
tech support, in learning WordPress stuff, or if they already have some WordPress skills, I'm generally open.
Good. And how do they reach you?
You can look at our website, wheelhorse-web.com, or you can email me at julia@wheelhorse-web.com.
That's great. And we just have about 9 seconds left. Can you somehow, in WordPress is what exactly?
WordPress is technically, it's a CMS, a content management system. Basically, it allows you to kind of have some parts of your website, like the header and the footer, that are on every page, and it helps you to organize content that you create, like blog posts, and dynamically display those on the page.
Now I know. Thank you. 'Cause
Yeah,
I wasn't sure,
sure
but I
thing.
know what you're talking about. That's great.
Yep.
I really appreciate you coming on. This is very exciting.
Well, thank you for having me.
What a great field you chose.
Thank you.
No, it's exciting.
I enjoy it. I enjoy
I
it.
really envy people, mostly younger than me, that can manage all that stuff. So thank you very much. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Pat McDonald, your host for Banter and Beans, where we're asking the question, what's brewing in Montpelier? See ya.